This week on Ignite Your Business podcast, we're talking about what's on the mind of today's business owners. And with me today as my guest is Don DePerro, President and CEO of Columbus Chamber of Commerce.
Great to be with you, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to have you, Don.
Absolutely.
I'm curious. Columbus has always been a business-rich environment. We're lucky, I think, in that regard. What do you think it is about Columbus that ignites business and the entrepreneurial spirit?
Well, that's a great question. There are really a number of things that have really propelled our economy over the years. One of them is we certainly benefit by being the state capital. We have a lot of state jobs. Many or most of the departments of state government are based here and headquartered here, and that really helps the economy. Then on top of that, of course, we've got the Ohio State University,
yes,
which is almost like a city unto itself. 50,000 students or more, 25,000 faculty, staff. It really also is a great contributor to the community. And when you think of all the service organizations, companies, vendors that do business with both the state of Ohio and with the Ohio State University, there's no such thing as being recession-proof. You'll hear people say that. But it does help make our economy a little bit recession-resistant. And that really helps. That's the foundation. But what helps probably even more so is that we have a very conciliatory business climate here. The people work together. People are happy to help one another. Yeah. Even competitors, you'll see industry-wide events, which I'm fairly familiar with over the years, and you'll see competitors come together, and they're congenial, and they get along, and they even at times support one another. It's just one of those rare places where people get along. They're broad-shouldered. They care about community. It's very important to them. It really all comes together to create such a rich business environment.
That's great. I agree. It's a great community. I'm curious, how many businesses call Columbus home?
Great question. If you look at the region, what's considered now the Columbus region, which is 11 counties, which is actually even slightly bigger than our metropolitan statistical area, we probably have in the neighborhood of 45,000 businesses, and those are, those include, DBAs and sole proprietors, but those are bona fide businesses, roughly 45,000. That's a pretty big geographic area.
It is.
But it just tells you how entrepreneurial we are here in Central Ohio.
How has that changed over the past few years?
Well, we've definitely grown. There's no doubt about that. I lived in the Southeast for 10 years, and the Sun Belt, as it's called, 5 years in Charlotte, North Carolina, 5 years in Jacksonville, Florida, really benefits because they have low taxes, they have sunshine, lots of it, good weather, and they were aggressive as far as economic development efforts went. Because we didn't always have strong economic development programming here in Central Ohio, we had to grow our own. So that's one of the reasons we're such a great region for entrepreneurism, because we start our businesses. Businesses start here. There are a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people willing to take the risks,
yes,
to go out on their own. This was an agricultural region, and so a lot of our entrepreneurs were really born out of this region as a farming and agricultural region. They're accustomed to hard work, long hours, working for themselves, and all of that really blends nicely with the whole, entrepreneurial culture here in Central Ohio.
So are there new obstacles to starting a business today?
There's probably, Kelly, more help today if you want to go into business for yourself than there's ever been at any point in history. There are so many resources that are available. Now, that said, that doesn't mean it's easier to succeed as an entrepreneur.
It always looks easier than it is.
It always looks easier. It always looks easier. I have one friend who's, in fact, is our kids grew up together and everything, and he's in a family business, and he's very successful. And he said, Don, a lot of people look at me and they know I've got a nice house and I've got a pool and we take nice vacations, and they don't know that I've almost lost my house 5 times during my career. They don't know the toll it takes on your marriage or your family. They don't know what you do, what you sacrifice by being self-employed and an entrepreneur, and how deeply you worry and the concerns you have. So I have a special place in my heart for entrepreneurs. I always have. I love working with small business people. I've been doing it for 35 years. And I like to think that even though I never really owned my own business, I fully believe that I've been self-employed.
Well, you've certainly been a leader.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So Columbus has a nice mix of fortune-sized companies, multi-generational family businesses, successful entrepreneurial businesses, as well as some young startups. So we're kind of successful in all of these different areas. What does it take in your mind to be successful in business today?
That is such a great observation, Kelly, in that question. It really is. You've really crystallized the diversity of our business community. I've studied, examined that question quite often over the years. And I do notice that there are several personality traits, aspects that make successful entrepreneurs. Focus is extraordinarily important. There was a time when if you talk to the McDonald's company, they would tell you that their most successful entrepreneurs, their most successful franchisees were farmers.
Wow.
They worked all day long. They listened. They were entrepreneurial, but they also understood what made the most successful McDonald's franchisees. And the old cliche, they tended to their knitting.
Yes.
They did what they should be doing. Being a successful entrepreneur is sometimes almost as much as what not to do as it is what you should do. You have to really stay focused to the task. You can't over diversify. Sometimes entrepreneurs try to do too much, and they'll create too much angst, and it will lead to failure. Focus on what you plan to do, what you want to do. I encourage anyone who wanted to get into business, talk to a lot of people. Talk to people in that industry. Talk to people outside that industry. Make sure there's a niche. If it's retail, I would talk to as many retailers as I possibly could. I would have a robust e-commerce site, and I would make sure that I could be as diverse in my selling opportunities as I could, and selling across every single platform that was available. But, do what you do best, focus on it, be careful about over-diversifying, because, once you take your eye on the ball, it's a sure reason to fail. If you look at so many of the, you take the restaurant business, which we all know is extraordinarily difficult. People think it's easy. The most successful restaurants, you see the owner in there.
Yes, you do.
All the time, all day, every day, working, going out, speaking to her or his customers, getting to know their customers, taking care of them. It's a lot of fundamentals. Make sure it's clean. Make sure your business is presentable. I have a tendency to oversimplify things, but focus. Just make sure there's a market for the industry you're going to enter. Make sure there's a market for it. Make sure it's something people need and want. Tend to your knitting. focus on what will make the business successful, and work hard. Get up and do it every single day, like what you've done for just a few years, right, Kelly?
Just a few.
Just a few, right?
Thank you, Don. That's sage advice. Thank you. Oftentimes, regardless of a business's size, there's common issues that businesses face. What issues are keeping Columbus business owners up at night? What are you hearing? What do you think is on their mind?
I don't think that's another great question. I don't think that's changed dramatically over the years. One of the things, and I think we might be talking about it in a few minutes, so I don't want to jump the gun, but, if you notice, there are so many support groups for entrepreneurs. You think of Vistage and YPO and EO and all of these forums and all of these. We started one at the chamber.
Right.
We'll chat about it maybe a few minutes. But, small business owners worry about, whether their business manager is got a hand in the till. They're worried about whether they're going to make payroll that week. They're worried about where their next sale is going to come from. They're worried about, is their sales effort robust enough? And more than anything else, do we have the right people in place to do the job? Those things haven't really changed. It's making the hard decisions that oftentimes separates the successful entrepreneur from the unsuccessful entrepreneur. There's the old cliche about, and I'm full of them, Kelly, the old cliche about, if it ain't broke, fix it.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be examining everything all the time and looking at things. And, we love our people, but from time to time, you have to assess whether they're keeping up and whether they can keep up and whether they can grow with the company. And it's sometimes it involves very hard decision making, difficult, stressful, painful decision making, because those folks that help you get to where you've arrived today may not be able to help you take the business to the next level. So, it's a challenge for small business owners, especially when they're not only the chief executive officer and the president, but they're the chief operating officer and the chief financial officer and the VP of sales and the human resources director. They wear so many hats and they have to work so hard, but you have to constantly assess your team. And then if the tough decision has to be made that it's time to move on.
Yeah, we certainly have seen business owners in the community go through that time and time again. And as you said, in different, business owner peer groups that I've been involved in, that's always a top topic, right? We all have to deal with those
oftentimes
issues.
It's just, most of the time it comes down to our people.
Yes, absolutely. So the Chamber's been a resource in the business community for many years. What programs have been designed during your 2-year term at the helm to address the concerns of business owners?
So I'd like to go back even a little bit, because I do like something that was in place or was being worked in place before I arrived, which is really very much unlike how most chambers of commerce operate. Most chambers of commerce, and there are literally hundreds of them all over the country, have a membership dues system that's built on the number of employees a company has.
Yes, I remember when Columbus had that.
Right, yeah. And many chambers still do. But our chamber moved to a multi-level Chamber of Commerce dues system based on the services we provide. So it really is a value-based system, and I really like that. And it ranges from about $775 up to $5,300, depending on what you want.
And as a chamber member, I like it too.
Thank you. Yes, you may only want our MIWA, our health insurance plan, which is administered through Medical Mutual of Ohio, which is great if you have 1 to 50 employees. We have a phenomenal health insurance plan that I would put it up against almost any health insurance plan out there. And that might be all you want to join the chamber for. But if you want help in engaging prospects at our highest level, which is over $5,000, as I mentioned, we will write up to 20 letters of introduction a year for you, for your business. So, if there are doors that you'd like to have open, we do that for you. We make that contact. I want to be careful here, Kelly, but I'll even, for some special friends, I'll pick up the phone and make the introduction on your behalf live. And, you're not going to get Steve Rasmussen, the CEO of Nationwide Insurance, but we might find someone in a department that would deal directly with the type of business that you serve, to meet with you. Maybe we can get someone else. We're also careful not to allow you to have eyes too big for your stomach. So when you walk into the door with a fledgling business and you announce that you want to do business with Cardinal Health, we're going to suggest that you take a step back. We'll pair you potentially with other potential customers, other businesses that are more likely to use and need your service. But we'll also warn you, if you bite off more than you can chew and you can't handle it, you may be out of business sooner than you think. So we have a great system in place, and we're really trying to expand on that. I mentioned those business support groups. Well, many of these groups are thousands and thousands of dollars to join. And we have now, I'm thrilled to say, more than 1,600 members. When I arrived, we were at 1,288. Not that I'm counting, but we've grown the paid membership, and that's all paid by more than 25% in 2 years, which is really phenomenal. Great. A real testimonial to our team at the Chamber. And it's the first growth that we've had in a long time. But we've started something called Chamber Owner Circles. And Summers Martin and our Small Business Council, hats off to our Small Business Council, because they've really gotten behind this. And what they are small groups of business owners, 5, 6, 7. I believe we have 30 entrepreneurs now actively involved in Chamber Owner Circles, and we've got 5 groups. And it's 2 hours a month. There's really no outside facilitation. We appoint a captain for each Chamber Owner Circles. And it's just peer-to-peer mentoring. I've got this issue. I don't know what to do about it, and we're getting great feedback. A couple of the groups have struggled a little bit to get rocking and rolling, but most of them are doing really well. We charge a whopping $300 a year. It's $25 a meeting. But, we think that this, in many instances, will be more valuable than your chamber membership itself. To get into one of these chamber owner circles, to have, and of course it's industry exclusivity, so you won't have a competitor in the room with you, but just to be able to decompress for a couple of hours once a month with some other small or mid-sized business owners like yourself, where you can, vent a little bit, maybe get a few things off your chest, maybe whine a little bit, and support other people who are in the same boat as you.
Yeah, that's important.
It really is.
Yeah, you need a sounding board. You can't take some of those issues to your management team or even to anyone else in your organization. So sometimes it helps to have that peer network. Right.
That's awesome. For a few $100s a year investment, it's really, really worthwhile and valuable. So,
I agree. Wonderful.
We also, Kelly, we went through an expansive. I started on March 1st of 2016, so I'm working on 2.5 years, and we immediately dove into a very deep strategic planning process. And I really want to give incredible kudos to a leader from Wendy's International. Her name is Abigail Pringle. She's a senior vice president at Wendy's, and Abigail oversees development and does strategy work. And she led the whole strategic planning process for the chamber and saved us tens of thousands of dollars. Abigail, if you're listening, we love you, and we can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Abigail.
Thank you. And we developed 4 pillars from which we're operating. We've really focused the chamber because I think when I arrived, I just felt that the chamber is trying to be too many things to too many people. And again, as the old cliche goes, if you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing, right? So we're focused on, if you ask what's new, I won't get into the whole, all 4 pillars, but we're really going to be engaged in workforce development moving forward.
Important for Columbus, for
really
sure.
Really important. I serve on the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland's Columbus Business Advisory Council. And we just had a meeting a week and a half ago, and our unemployment rate in Columbus is under 3.3%. It's really low.
Yes.
So, when you think of those more than 1,600 business members that I mentioned, roughly 60% of those have fewer than 40 employees. So we really are an organization of small and mid-sized companies, and that's where they really need help, identifying talent, recruiting and attracting and keeping talent. So what we're planning to do is we're not going to be program-centric at the Chamber, but we believe that there are a lot of great workforce programs here in Central Ohio. We've hired a great workforce development director, Kelly Fuller, and Kelly came to us after 14 years at the Eastland Fairfield Career Technical School, where she actively placed traditional and non-traditional students directly into the workforce. So what we're going to do is work with United Way and their member organizations and Columbus State for training, and we're going to identify strong workforce programming and then connect them with our members. We've already got a beta program in place, in fact, with a program that has members of our community age 50 and over who maybe retired a little quickly or have been displaced or separated from their company. What we know about baby boomers, and I can speak from experience, is, with what's going on today, our opioid pandemic, we know that people 50 and over, for the most part, they're going to pass a drug test. They've got a very solid work ethic. They're accustomed to getting up in the morning and going to work, and then going to work the next day, and then going to work the day after that. And it was amazing how many companies raised their hand and said, send them to us. We will hire them immediately. Please send them to us. So that's where we think that the Chamber can play a major role in helping our small business partners. And I'll apologize for this, but I call ourselves the Yentas of the matchmakers. We're playing the matchmaking role. And again, we're not going to create our own programs. We're going to identify strong workforce programming, and we believe there's somewhere north of 150 different workforce programs already active in Central Ohio.
Wow, that's amazing.
It really is amazing. And we want to connect them with our members. So that's one of our big mission pillars, and we're really looking forward to really ramping that up in the near future.
Well, it sounds great, and it sounds like the Chamber certainly has their pulse on the needs of the business community in Central Ohio. How can listeners get in touch with the Chamber?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for asking. We've got a great website, columbus.org. Our phone number, you know what? I'll even leave my phone number. How's that? My phone number at the Chamber is, of course, area code 614-225-6917. 225-6917. Call us. We've got a lot of great committees. We'd love to have you involved. And, we're a nonprofit. I'm committed to every dollar that comes in, we're going to turn around and invest that into the business community. We just resuscitated, if you will, the long-standing Chamber Golf and Tennis Invitational. We held it at New Albany in May. And we raised about $60,000. Every penny is going to go into workforce development. In fact, the event itself was produced by the Columbus Chamber Foundation, our 501c3.
That's great. Don, since arriving in Columbus in the mid-'90s, You have been at the center of business in Central Ohio, first as the publisher of Business First and now as the president and CEO of the Columbus Chamber of Commerce. What advice do you have for listeners on how they can ignite their business?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know if I'm even at the level where I can lend that advice. But I do like successful people. And, advice I would give would be to create an advisory board. Create an advisory board or, a board of directors. Now, they don't have to be a fiduciary board, and by that I mean you as the owner don't have to report to them. They can be a consulting, an advisory board, serve in an advisory capacity. And there are several things that I would really encourage a business owner to do. Have outside help looking at your financials. Hire a good CPA. Hire an accountant. Find someone who really focuses on small businesses. There are dozens of them in our community. Have a good attorney. Have a good small business attorney. I send every contract that crosses our desk at the Chamber to our law firm. And sure, it costs several $100s every time. But, just that investment, really can help you dramatically down the road. I won't go into it. I did inherit several potentially litigious situations at the Chamber when I came on. And there were the types of things that were just, if they had just sent these items or businesses or kept an eye on things in advance, we would never be in any of these conversations. We would never be in any problem, and a few $100s today can save you tens of thousands of dollars tomorrow. They really could. Get that advisory board. Surround yourself with successful people.
Success breeds success, right?
It sure does. It sure does. Have a good attitude. I try to bring a smile to the office during the day. I hire more for attitude and work ethic than I do for experience every single day. I want people who, this is the Chamber of Commerce. It should be fun. It should be a fun organization. We have our MRS team. Our member resource specialists. We have 5 people who basically serve as consultants to the member businesses of the Chamber of Commerce.
And they do a great job.
Well, thank you very much. And they're great. We offer great sounding boards. We can help you. We can put you on a chamber owner circle. If you'd like to just come and sit in on one of our chamber owner circles before you'd like to make an investment, we're happy to help you do that. I think good communicators who are open, who are transparent, who are broad-shouldered enough to be able to take a punch and get back up off the canvas. I think people with resiliency, with focus, are the most successful. I really do. I put something into place 2.5 years ago when I came to the Chamber. Very simple, Kelly. I didn't want to overcomplicate things, but I call it ACT because I wanted everybody to act. But it stood for analytics. I wanted us to measure everything we did. We couldn't tell our story unless we were talking about the work we were doing. The Chamber has done all kinds of good work, but we haven't broadcasted. We haven't told people. So analytics, measuring what we do. Communications is the C. Communicate, communicate, communicate. As a manager, as a business owner, we hate surprises. So let people know. And what I try to do, especially with my board of directors, if it's bad news, I try to communicate that even faster. Let them know. And T stands for transparency. We don't have any secrets. We don't hold back. We let people know what they should know when they should know it. One of the things I've always held as a fundamental aspect of my management style is if we come to our annual review and you're surprised, that's my fault. because we should be communicating good and bad on a continual basis every week. ACT, analytics, communications, and transparency.
Love it.
And that's
Thank you.
served us well.
Well, that's all we have time for today. I would like to thank our guest, Don DePerro, President and CEO of the Columbus Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here.
I'm Kelly Borth of Greencrest, and thanks for listening.